What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone for another daily news show. And we're going to talk about the honest truth, the brutal, honest truth, not from me, but from Florenzi, who played the great Juve sides and asked the question, does anyone fear this team? And there's a video clip I'm going to play where the reality is that in that video clip, you can see the reality, because whatever is happening at the club right now, is it all Tudor's fault? No, absolutely not. Actually, the big portion of it, like the massive portion of it, is not Tudor's fault. Because after the Milan game, I was extremely disappointed, and I still am, because I don't think we played a good game. I don't think we put Milan in any sort of trouble, and I'm not here for David slip. He slipped, but you know, it wasn't a clear-cut tap-in. There are like 2-3 defenders around him still to block that shot, and a goalkeeper. We didn't create anything bar that got the cross and miss, whatever you want to call it, you know. But at the end of the day, Milan deserved to win, and they just threw it away with the pens and easy tap-ins from Lea that he messed up, you know. So was I too harsh on Tudor? I don't think so, because it's not he has in charge of this club for 21 games, not 5, 21. And I've not seen improvement. We concede more goals. We create less. Like statistically, you can look it up. You know, the numbers are down everywhere. And I don't want to, you know, I cannot go with I see improvement, because no, there's no improvement. Actually, we see the same thing over and over and over again. That is reality. However, what Florenzi had to say, that's what I want to talk about, because it's the honest truth, and he hit the nail on the head. Before I get into it, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive straight into the video. Okay, the video. Florenzi, after the game, was on Sky Italia, and he had this to say about the current situation at the club compared to when he went to the stadium and played Juve.
Io quando andavo allo Juventus Stadium
sentivi il peso?
Sentivo il peso di andare a giocare con la Juventus. Io non so adesso quante squadre sentano il peso di andare a giocare
non hanno paura,
non hanno
non c'è più quella paura lì, dici.
Io prima
quel senso di imbattibilità che avevano quasi.
Cioè io andavo lì e dicevo "Oh, se oggi pareggiamo
tanta roba.
Tanta roba".
In grande è successo al City l'anno scorso, avverti questa cosa e dici non vado più col team, anche se mi fanno gol.
Okay, quick translation in a nutshell. He basically said, man, do teams fear Juve when they go to the stadium? Because he said, from my experience, when I went to the stadium, he said, I went in with the mindset of basically it's going to be tough. If we can get out here with a point, then, wow, amazing job. That was the team we were. And before you spam the comments, yes, I'm not saying we need to go from this point to that point. You know, there's years between that. I get it. But we've been haggling around for a couple of seasons right now. That's my point. You know, teams do not fear us. They don't fear Juve anymore. They come to the stadium and they play. They take their chances. Now, what I'm trying to say is, again, I'm not expecting to turn up this season and every team is going to sit back against us because we're that great of team. No, I know there's a process in between that we need to go through before getting to that point. However, the way we play right now, we don't strike fear into any team. And that is the reality. Whatever you think about Tudor, the players, that is the reality. If you want to talk about how we can go to that point, we can do that. But that's the base point. Now, we're in this situation, not because of Tudor, not about Comoli, not because of Comoli, but because of previous guys, you know? Maybe partially about Comoli. I will get that in a second. But ownership. Elkan has been the ownership, and he made poor decisions. He recruited, or he put people into places, and they made wrong decisions. They didn't stick with their decisions. They made it worse, and it escalated, and we got to this point. Now, when it comes to Comoli, did he make mistakes in the summer? Yeah, I don't think we needed to sign Openda. You know, when you look at the team, Obviously, I'd rather sign Colomani, but if Colomani wasn't available, then fine. You invest in that midfield or in that backline, especially that backline. We didn't do that, and that's not Tudor's fault, you know? So I'm not going to blame Tudor for not having certain players at his disposal. I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous, because I I believe if you ask Tudor what did you want, or what was your preference, or what was your main targets position-wise, not even names, he would have said different than what we have signed right now. So I'm not going to put that on him. However, what I'm going to put on him, and it's not about being harsh, it's about being real. It's 21 games in charge at the Juve. And this is a real question, In the comments, let me know. 21, like match day 1, I forgot which game he came in, to be honest. I'm sorry, I blanked out which game was his first in charge. However, that game compared to now, list me the things you think he improved ever since coming in, because I'm being real serious without screaming, it's on you, or like you're crap, whatever. I didn't even say once he's crap. I don't think he's up to the level, and that has nothing to do with this results. I said it at the end of last season. I said it when he came in. I'm like, he's not up to the level compared to the coaches he's going against with in the league. But make me a list of things you believe he improved the moment he came in up to now, because I honestly do not know. I do not know. When people say we're better defensively, we're not. Statistically, we're not. Like, we're worse defensively, statistically. And what makes it worse is we play 5 defenders. We have 5 defenders on the pitch at all times. 3 at the back, and our wing backs are defenders, on paper. And statistically, we concede more goals. We don't pick up more points as well. We don't pick up more wins as well. Catching up is like watching the game. Do you believe you see something that you're like, okay, we can build on that? No, I don't, And I bring it back to Motta, who, by the way, this is not about Motta. I can bring it back to Allegri, or Pirlo, whatever you want to do. Bring it back to those coaches. We all reach a point where it's like there's not enough improvement. We don't see this team going places, and that's the feeling I have right now. So it has nothing to do with an Allegri or Tudor or a Motta. It has to do with, okay, what are we trying to do as a club? Because I do not see any progress. It's like Del Piero said. He said, I'm watching that attack, for example. There are many options out there, but not one option is working, because I don't think, he said, Tudor has an idea what he actually wants. And even Tudor post-game, came out and finally, for the first time, said, maybe I need to switch it up, play 2, because I need to cater to the players I have, and maybe step away from what I want to do, because it's clearly not working. When we talk about a Jonathan David, for example, look at Jimenez and Pulisic, the way they play. I look at Jonathan David, how he needs to occupy his space between 2-3 center backs. It's a different reality. It's difficult for any player playing that with 2 wide players who love to cut inside and take shots rather than, play 1-2, give and go to your striker, because they're so far off. It's just natural. You're not really going to do that, So those are things that I'm looking at. I'm like, we're not improving. Defensively, we haven't improved. Now, Bremer is not 100% fit, but then again, you play with Kalulu as a wingback and Cambiasso as a wingback, and you're still all over the shop most of the time. When we talk about that Milan game, and the talk is like, oh, the Milan chances were lucky and whatever. No, they were not. Like, let's be completely honest. Those were ridiculous passes from Modric as well. And they cut through that back line. There were no individual errors with those chances. They cut through our back line. The pen Kelly gave away, they cut through us. That's the play. That's us not being able to put pressure on Modric, all these players, to play those passes, and even to stop that from going clean through. This is not about individual. We make individual mistakes at the back. But for that Milan game example, it's not that Milan had thousands of chances, but they had 3 clear-cut chances, and they should be putting them away. The pen, you can miss a pen, but not like that. The miss from Leao, that was an easy tap him, not sure what he did there. And that shot, I don't know what he did. I think he kicked the ground before he kicked the ball. That should be at least on goal, making life difficult for Di Gregorio, So, and we had nothing up against them. We do not create enough chances, and it's not coming from me. Like, that's from Del Piero, one of the, if not the best player to play for this club, the best attacker play for this club, the biggest legend of this club, basically saying, up front, There's no clarity. The defenders, the attackers, all of them are struggling. This is not coming from me. This is coming from one of the best I've ever seen play for this club. Saying that it's real. We're struggling. The club is struggling. Tudor is struggling to get them all going. And we need to acknowledge all these things and not be lying to ourselves, because yes, we haven't lost, but we hadn't lost in the league until match day 21 or 22 last season. But by that time, we all knew this is not going well. I'm not saying you were saying get Mota out at that stage, but I think you knew, this is not going the way it should be going, with a lot of, we're not losing, but we're not winning games, and right now we're not winning games as well. And to be honest, I don't think we're even close to winning many of these games. I know Tudor said post-game, if we score 2 more goals, we had 2 more wins. That's an easy cop-out, That's like I can flip it. Well, if Milan scored 2 more goals, they would have won that game. Like, that statement holds no value because you play an opponent who created a lot of chances. If Villarreal finished their dinner in the first half, that game was a wrap. If Milan did what they had to do with those chances, it would have been a wrap. Like, I can flip the statement from Tudor, and it can be both, in both directions true. So that's not a thing you can use, in my opinion, when it comes to those type of things. That being said, we're not playing well, and we're not close. We're not close to winning the Verona game. Like, let's be completely honest, or the Atalanta game, or the Villarreal. The Villarreal game closed by minutes. It was late, but Villarreal, if they lost that game, Villarreal would have come out of that game, and we were like, how did we lose that game? We're not close to winning that Milan game as well. We need to be on that Dortmund game. We're not close. That Inter game was crazy. Let's be just honest. How many real good, solid 90 minutes did we play? The answer is, since he came in, maybe 2, 3, 4. That's like 4 is a stretch. 4 strong 90 minutes game. Total control for 90 minutes. It doesn't happen a lot with Tudor. Actually, our games, if you think about it, our games are very close with Tudor. They're very close. It's 1 goal difference a lot of the times. Or 2-0, but it's very late. The Colomani one, was it against Empoli at home? We were losing, and then late we scored with Vlahovic and Conceição late. Like the Venezia game. Like, if you think about it, the Genoa game was kind of close. The Parma, like, we leave it late. The Parma game as well. They're close games with Tudor always. We need to be honest with that. You're living on the edge. Like, things can flip really quickly from just about winning it, not losing it, to we're gonna lose games right now because it's always close. That is the reality. And this is not about blaming it all on Tudor, because I agree that some players shouldn't be at the club. Some decisions made were not okay, but Tudor is also making decisions that are not okay. And Tudor has a good enough squad to be doing better when it comes to full 90-minute performances. When he's talking about we don't have an identity, I'm like, you're not in charge for a couple of days now, or a couple of months. Since a couple of months, you've been in charge since April last year. You've been in charge of 21 games, and there's still no identity. That is crazy to me. To come out, say that just loosely, like just throwing out there, and acting like it's normal, like it's okay that we don't have an identity 21 games into your tenure. I don't think that's acceptable. That there's no identity? I don't think so, in my opinion. And I'm not even asking him to be top of the league, undefeated, winning all games. I'm not even asking that, because yes, we're only 2 points off, but we need to be honest about that as well, how we came to those 2 points off. Let's be honest, the way we play, it can be 5-6 points really quickly. That is the reality. We need to improve. Everyone probably will agree with that. Even Tudor comes out and said we need to improve, but we cannot shy away from it. We need to address that as well, in my opinion. And that stems from that Florenzi statement where, I don't think teams are fearing us, and should they? No, they shouldn't. We need to be honest with that as well, So anyways, in the comments, let me know what you think. Match day 1 when he came in until now, what do you think he has improved? Like, real things you can maybe statistically prove, but also like try to convince me, okay, that's what we improved, because I really do not see it. I'm not gonna lie. It needs to be visible, and I don't think it's visible. Anyways, let me know, and we'll speak about it in the comments. Ciao.